Howdy, folks. Uh, we're back for another episode of Story Time. This one, I will tell you, this one does not directly involve me, but I was very captivated by this story. An incident that actually happened in, like, the actual crime happened in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but the actual perpetrator did live in Delaware, real close and to where I resided at the time. So let's get on with the story, and we're going to tell you what happened. Uh, there was back in, oh man, I just checked the date. Back in the 90s, I forget when it was. I just checked the date and I just totally forgot the date. But I know it was in the 90s. Um, this young fellow named Edward Leigh Hunt Jr. He was like probably like 21 years old. I'm pretty sure he was 21, something like that. And he was working for Brooks Armored Car Service, which was a local armored car service uh, based out of Newcastle County, Delaware, not too far from where my mom lived. And they were doing a lot of different like runs to Philadelphia. And they had a big area that they covered. So I don't know how. I want to say he was probably with that armored car service for probably like less than a year. I don't remember exactly how long he was there, but he was considered very, very bright young man. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he graduated from University of Delaware. So, so once again, I'm trying to get. I had a little distraction on this side, so I apologize for that. But so Edward Leigh Hunt, he's one of, if I remember correctly, three armored car guards on the vehicle. So he's the one remaining in the vehicle. So the other two guards go into a some type of bank or whatever, something holding a lot of funds. I'm pretty sure it was a bank. I don't remember the name of the bank. But when they come back out, all they see is the back doors open, his clothes are off. All they see is the clothes, and a lot of money's gone, like all of the money basically. So they thought he had somehow been kidnapped, or the truck got hijacked. So it ended up being a really, really crazy story, but they were able to ascertain, through FBI's assistance and stuff like that, that he pulled off this heist. And he walked away with $651,000. And but what he did after that is what makes the story really interesting, because he almost committed the perfect crime, so to speak, if there is like a perfect crime. But he was on the run for like 2 years. But what he would do is every once in a while he would send a letter to like the local. I think it was called the Wilmington News Journal or something at that time. I think now, it's a Gannett publication. So whatever it was called back then. So he would send the letter, and then sometimes he would send the letter, like a postcard. And he was basically just taunting the heck out of the FBI. And I know that was really ticking them off. But he would, a lot of his postcards or pictures that he would send would be him stepping out of a pool with just a swimsuit on, nothing, just but long hair, wet hair, like he just like took a swim in the pool, just living a life of luxury. And so it was really crazy, because guy, like I told you, he was smart in a lot of ways. He, even though he did something foolish, but so he walks away with $651,000. He's gone for 2 years. Basically has like zero or little communication to his family, and I think he had a girlfriend at the time. And it was like he orchestrated this pretty well. And so he, like I said, he kept sending these postcards or these pictures of him. I think he would send to the newspaper, then to a TV station or whatever. I'm doing fine, I'm living, just stuff like that. But like they would get so annoyed because they were coming from all over different states and all over the place. So they really could not pinpoint them. By the time the postage got there and everything got there, they really couldn't. They were like the FBI was way behind on this because it took 2 years. So finally, what came out later was this guy was, like I told you, he was really smart with his tactics and what he did. On a Sunday afternoon, well, let me back up just a slight bit. Sometimes my brain starts working too fast, get to the end of the story before I really finish the story. But so he had notified everybody publicly that he was going to be turning himself in to, I'm pretty sure it's Los Angeles County or Los Angeles City, somewhere in LA. He was going to turn himself in at the courthouse, which he knew that was going to be closed on that particular day. And it was crazy because he was very smart in a lot of his tactics. Everything he did, like almost the entire process, was very smart. So they end up showing. I remember seeing the video of this. It's a shame it's hard to get the archives from that era. Maybe there's a way to pay for it to get the archives, but it was very interesting. But he basically all the FBI and police, all the everybody that was involved in this situation was inside the courthouse, and he comes around totally barefoot. All he had on was swim trunks. He was still wet. His hair was wet, just like every one of his postcards, his pictures he had sent. But it was really smart because you could tell he did not have a weapon on him. So that part I commend him for, because they could have looked for a reason to mess with him, if you want to say it politically correct. And then he's walking down the sidewalk. All the TV cameras were filming him, and then he started walking up the steps, and then they all rushed out and escorted him in aggressively, I guess you could say. And then the rest of the story was his father was a prominent attorney in Wilmington, Delaware. I think he just basically got probation, and I've heard two different stories. I heard a lot of the money was still, most of the money was still accounted for. And then I read a little bit on the archives, he gambled a lot of it away. So I don't know what the true story is, but that's a story about Edward Leigh Hunt, walking away from an armored car vehicle with a big $651,000 heist. So what say you? What would crazy. But he basically, if there's a perfect way to taunt the FBI, he executed it, and they had no idea where he was. But anyway, so now apparently he's, I guess he's reformed, living a normal life now, and that's his story of Edward Leigh Hunt. Does not involve me, but I was very captivated because I followed that story religiously. But peace out, folks. We'll talk again soon.